Dogs and other species. If you've ever seen your dog interact with another animal, be it another dog, a cat, or even a bird, you've probably noticed something magical in those interactions. Dogs have a unique ability to connect not only with humans, but also with other animals in an impressive way. This not only reveals dogs' social side, but also their empathy and ability to form deep bonds with completely different species. In this video, we'll explore this fascinating world of connection between dogs and other animals. We'll talk about how these interactions happen, what we can learn from them, and why they're so interesting to us, dog lovers. Get ready for heartwarming stories, practical tips, and many details that will surprise you. Dogs are social animals by nature. First, let's start by understanding why dogs have this incredible ability to connect with other animals. As descendants of wolves, dogs evolved in social groups called packs. In the wild, wolves depend on their packs to hunt, protect each other, and ensure survival. This social instinct was inherited by dogs, and even today, they carry this need to interact and belong to a group. Even when they live with humans, this social nature continues. They not only form deep bonds with us, their caretakers, but also are inclined to connect with other dogs and even animals of different species. That's why, when a dog sees another animal, its first reaction is usually not aggressive, but curious. They want to know who that being is and if they can interact. This sociability is expressed in various ways. You might have noticed how your dog cautiously approaches another animal, starts sniffing it, and from there, tries to interact. It's as if dogs are introducing themselves and exchanging social information. This is how many dogs form friendships, learn to respect other animals, and start sharing space harmoniously. Real-life example. Think of two dogs meeting for the first time at the park. First, they'll sniff each other for a few seconds, something that may seem simple but is extremely important for them to become familiar. After this ritual, they start running together, playing, and even sharing toys. This is the moment when a bond begins to form, and by the end of the interaction, it's as if they've been longtime friends. This behavior shows just how much dogs value social interactions. Dogs and other dogs, the language of friendship. When it comes to dog-to-dog interactions, there's a whole code of communication that goes far beyond barking. As we mentioned, smell is one of the most important ways of communication between them. Dogs have glands in various parts of their bodies, mainly in the snout and paws, that release chemical information. When a dog sniffs another, it's literally reading information like age, gender, and even the other dog's emotional state. Additionally, there's a rich body language involved. A dog that wants to play lowers its front legs with its tail wagging rapidly in a move we call the play bow. If the other dog responds in the same way, you've got the start of a joyful and friendly interaction. But if a dog becomes tense, raises the fur on its back, or growls, it's sending a clear signal that it's not comfortable with the situation. Understanding this canine language is vital to ensure that interactions between them are healthy. Many behavioral issues arise when signs of discomfort or fear go unrecognized. So, it's important to always observe how dogs behave when interacting and, when necessary, give them a break to calm down. Real-life example: dogs that live in the same household often develop strong friendships. Imagine two dogs of the same breed, like beagles, growing up together. They not only learn to play, but also take care of each other, licking wounds or lying together when they're scared. This friendship, built on constant social interaction, reminds us a lot of our own need for companionship and emotional support. Dogs and cats, a possible friendship? Now let's talk about a classic, dogs and cats. The idea that dogs and cats are natural enemies is quite common, but the reality is much more complex and, most of the time, more positive than we imagine. Despite the behavioral differences between the two species, it is absolutely possible for dogs and cats to form bonds of friendship and live in harmony. For this coexistence to work, the introduction between the two must be done carefully. Cats are naturally more reserved and territorial, while dogs tend to be more energetic and curious. So, the introduction process should be gradual, respecting each animal's adaptation time. A useful trick is to let the two smell each other through a door or gate before meeting face-to-face. What happens next is fascinating. Over time, many dogs and cats learn to live peacefully and even form strong bonds of friendship. Dogs may become protective of their feline friends, while cats, with their more independent nature, end up teaching dogs a bit about respect and personal space. Real-life example on the internet, there are countless stories and videos of dogs and cats that have become best friends. In one such story, a German shepherd named Maxie adopted an orphan kitten that his owner rescued. Maxie cared for the kitten as if it were his own, licking it and even sleeping next to it to keep it warm. Maxie's protective behavior shows that, despite the differences between species, the instinct to care and protect is always present in dogs. Main lesson: dogs and cats can indeed be friends as long as their differences in communication and behavior are respected. Dogs and farm animals. A bond that goes back centuries. The interactions between dogs and farm animals, such as sheep, horses, and chickens, have a long history. Herding dogs, like Border Collies and Australian cattle dogs, are known for their exceptional skills in guiding and protecting livestock. But this relationship goes beyond just a working partnership. Many dogs raised on farms end up forming emotional bonds with the animals they care for. These dogs see farm animals as part of their pack, and as such, they protect, guide, and even comfort them when they're stressed. The herding instinct is strong, but the emotional bond they create with the herds is equally impressive. Many dogs prefer to stay by their sheep or cows, even when given the option to come inside the house with their owners. Real-life example. A classic example is of a border collie named Sally, who, during a severe storm, refused to leave her flock of sheep, even with her owner urging her to come inside. Sally only came in when she was sure all the sheep were safe in the shelter. This demonstrates dogs' natural protective instinct, which often goes beyond training. Dogs and wild animals. Unlikely friendships. Now, let's dive into even more unexpected territory, the interactions between dogs and wild animals. Although these situations are less common, there are many documented cases of dogs forming unlikely bonds with foxes, deer, and even raccoons. These bonds usually occur when the dog encounters a vulnerable wild animal, such as a lost or abandoned baby. In such cases, dogs' instinct to care and protect often takes over. When they sense that the other animal is in need, they may adopt it, take care of it, and even protect it from predators. Dogs' natural empathy extends beyond their own species, which is incredibly fascinating to observe. Real story. One story that gained media attention was of a Labrador named Charlie, who befriended a young deer that would regularly visit his backyard. With each visit, Charlie and the deer would play together, and the deer seemed to seek out Charlie whenever it was nearby. This unlikely friendship captured many hearts and showed just how surprising interspecies connections can be. Dogs and birds. A gentle and unexpected connection. Let's now explore a less common but equally fascinating relationship, the interaction between dogs and birds. At first glance, it might seem strange to imagine a dog coexisting with birds, as dogs are terrestrial animals, while birds spend most of their time in the air or on branches. However, there are many stories of dogs that have formed unexpected bonds with birds, whether at home, with pet birds, or even with wild birds in the yard. Dogs, being curious and empathetic creatures, tend to approach other species in an investigative way, and birds are no exception. Often, birds don't feel threatened by a dog's presence, especially if the introduction is done calmly. Dogs that live with birds in the house eventually adopt protective and respectful behaviors. It's common to see dogs watching birds with curiosity and, in some cases, even helping to care for them if raised together. Real-life example. A viral video shows a boxer dog taking care of a parrot that had been injured. The parrot was rescued by the boxer's owner, and the dog immediately took on the role of protector, staying by the cage and watching over the bird throughout its recovery process. This touching interaction between such different species shows the dog's natural sensitivity. But interactions between dogs and birds don't just happen indoors. In many situations, dogs and wild birds can form temporary bonds, especially when the dog becomes familiar with the environment where the birds live. There are records of dogs guarding birds' nests, ensuring predators don't get close. The loyalty and protective instinct of dogs cross species boundaries, which always surprises us. Main lesson: the relationship between dogs and birds is delicate and charming. When they respect each other's space, they can create a harmonious coexistence, once again showcasing the incredible potential of dogs to form connections with any living being. Practical tips for introducing your dog to other animals. If you're thinking of letting your dog interact with other animals, whether another dog, a cat, or even a farm animal, here are some important tips to ensure these interactions are safe and positive. Gradual introduction. Never force a meeting between your dog and another animal. Let them get to know each other gradually, preferably in a controlled environment. This helps avoid aggressive or defensive behaviors. Constant supervision, especially during the first interactions, always be nearby to ensure everything goes well. If the other animal becomes uncomfortable, you can intervene and give both some space to calm down. Positive reinforcement. Reward your dog for calm and respectful behavior during interactions. This creates positive associations with the presence of the other animal. Respect the other animal's pace. Some animals may be more reserved and take longer to get used to a dog's presence. Respect their pace and allow the approach to happen naturally. The connection between species and the power of canine friendship. The interactions between dogs and other animals are a true testament to the power of our canine friends' sociability and empathy. From classic relationships with other dogs to unlikely bonds with wild animals, dogs show us that friendship can bloom in any context. These connections are not only fascinating to observe, but they also teach us valuable lessons about patience, respect, and care. The next time your dog crosses paths with another animal, pay attention. You might be about to witness something special. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to make sure you don't miss our next content. Now, we want to know, what's the most surprising interaction your dog has had with another animal? Share your story in the comments. See you next time!